I like to have fun. I guess you could say I'm a fun guy. There gotta be millions of different kinds of mushrooms on this planet. Some are edible, some are not. I mean, there's portobello mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, you got magic mushrooms, you got truffles, the really expensive ones that I can't afford. You got tons of different kinds of mushrooms, holy shiitake, mushrooms everywhere. Today, we're making my favorite kind of mushroom, and that's a stuffed mushroom. Doesn't exactly grow like that in nature, but it really, really should. Somebody needs to talk to the man in charge. So the great thing about stuffed mushrooms is you can put pretty much anything you want to it. You could put crab meat, you could put cheese, you could put breadcrumbs, you could put Ritz crackers. There's so many varieties. Cheese, you could put cheese in it. But then again, cheese is good on almost everything. That's what we're going to make today. We're going to make stuffed mushrooms. This is a delicious recipe that I stole from my daughter, and I kind of have her permission, but it is what it is. So let's get it done. We're going to start off by cleaning our mushrooms. I have 12 large stuffing portobello mushrooms. We're going to get those into a bowl of water, and we're going to wash our mushrooms. We're going to rub our mushrooms. Nobody wants a dirty mushroom in their mouth. So make sure your mushrooms are clean. Very clean. You don't want there's dirt on there. You don't want that. Mushrooms grow in dirt. So don't have a dirty mushroom. We're going to pop the stems out. I kind of got cheated. Some of my mushrooms were missing the stems. You believe that? It was like a little mushroom cap with no stem. Amazing. But you want to get the stems out, and you want to save those stems because we're going to use those in the stuffing. So get it out, get it cleaned out, any little shenanigans that are in there, you want it out. And then once they're all done, we're going to put them on a plate, put them off to the side because we don't need to deal with that right now. We'll come back to that later. Stuffing. I got 2 small shallots. Why do I have 2 small shallots? Because that's the size that they had in the store. So you want about 1/4 cup of finely diced shallot. So we're going to take them, we're going to cut them in half, then we're going to cut them long ways, just like that. Again, we don't have to be perfect, but we want to get them fairly small. So we cut them long ways, and we go and we cut them across sideways. And once we're done with all of them, we're going to plop those into a bowl, just like that, until we're ready to use them. Now we're going to go address those stems. I like to cut off the very bottom of the stem because that's where they cut it at the factory, or the farm, rather. And we don't want any nastiness on this. So just trim that very end off. And now we're just going to dice them. We're going to dice them fine. Just run your knife through them. Do yourself a favor. Don't put the meaty bits of your hand underneath the Sharpie bits of your knife. You're not going to have a good time. Once they're all diced up, though, we're going to put those into the same bowl as the shallots because they can cook together. So get them all up. Next thing to address, garlic. We need finely minced garlic. So same thing like the mushroom stems. We're just going to run our knife through them. Keep running it through. Again, don't put the meaty bit under the Sharpie bit. You're good to go. Now once these are done, you can just slide it onto the side of your knife and leave it on the cutting board until we're ready to use it. It's a handy place to store it. Time to get cooking. In our large frying pan over medium to medium-high heat, we're going to put about 1.5 ounces or so. It's like kind of 1 strip of bacon sliced up nice and fine. This is going to give us a nice smoky kind of flavor to it. Plus, it's going to add the oil we need to get everything else going. So it's a 2-part benefit on this one. Flavor and grease. So once your bacon's starting to foam up like that, it's good. We're going to dump in our mushroom stems and our shallots. I don't know why I keep saying it's shallot. That's the way the British say it. And I think it's just kind of in my head from Gordon Ramsay yelling it at people. I don't know. So we're going to get that in there. We're going to saute it. We're going to get it nice and soft and fragrant. And once it's nice and soft, looks like that, we're going to add in our garlic. Now, very important, lower your heat. You don't want to burn your garlic. It gets bitter. It gets disgusting. You don't want to do that to your friends and family. So get it nice, sauteed. Keep it moving. Again, you lower the heat. We're at like a medium to low. 1 cup of seasoned breadcrumbs of your brand choosing, or seasoned yourself if you're that kind of fancy. We're going to stir that in. We're going to let those breadcrumbs absorb all the oil, all that moisture. We're going to let them toast just a little bit. Now remember, we're on a medium-low heat. Now, I made 2 mistakes in the making of this. Number 1, I should have added some red pepper flake, about a quarter of a teaspoon, to the shallots and mushrooms. Forgot that. And the other mistake I made, I didn't let my cream cheese soften to room temperature. So make sure your cream cheese is softened to room temperature. 1 standard size block of good quality cream cheese. See, when you don't let it come to room temperature, you got to fight with it. It'd be a lot easier if I did the right thing. But you work it, you mash it, you mix it, and you want it to come like this. Yes, I know, it looks dry. Don't worry, we're going to deal with that. But we want to incorporate the cream cheese into the breadcrumb and vegetable mix as best we can. It's going to start being like almost like a really shaggy dough. That's kind of what a stuffing is. So we're going to put that into a bowl. It's all cooked up. We're going to put it into a bowl, let it cool down, because we're going to add pecorino in a minute. But we don't want to add it when it's hot, because otherwise the pecorino will get all funky. Now, back to our mushroom caps. On a pan lined with foil and some cooking spray that I forgot to put in. See, I said mistakes were made, you know? Leave me alone. So spray your pan with cooking spray. It wasn't completely detrimental. They just kind of stuck a little bit. What this is going to do is draw out some of the moisture and get those mushrooms start cooking. So we're going to get them on the pan. I'm going to stick them into a 400-degree oven for about 10 minutes and let some of that fat come out. Not fat, water. What am I talking about? I love fat because I'm fat. All right, back to our stuffing. We're going to drop in about a tablespoon at a time of beef broth, and that's going to give the stuffing a little bit of moisture because we need that. You don't want dry stuffing. That's just gross. So add it in as necessary, and you're going to keep stirring it until it comes together like a very sticky dough. You don't want to over moisten this because then it'll just kind of fall apart in the shroomy, because the shroomy is going to add a little moisture, but you want it like a thick dough. Now it's cooled down, it's the right consistency. We're going to add a quarter of a cup of Pecorino Romano cheese that has been grated. The fresher the better. So stir that in well until it is fully homogeneous, or as homogeneous as possible. It's kind of tough to do with the consistency. You're going to see once you add the cheese, it dries up a little bit. So what do? We add another tablespoon of beef broth. You're going to use maybe a quarter of a cup. Don't dump a quarter of a cup in. Just add it in a little bit at a time, because depending on ambient humidity and a lot of other factors, you may need a little more, a little less. So govern yourselves accordingly, I guess. Now's the time to season it with salt and pepper. You didn't want to add salt before because the pecorino's got a lot of salt. Seasoned breadcrumbs have salt, so we do this at the very end before we stuff them. So add as much pepper as you'd like, because pepper is delicious. Now, our shrooms come out of the oven. I don't know why, for some reason, I didn't capture me taking them off the pan, but you kind of pick them up, shake out the excess moisture, the excess liquid that has accumulated under the cap. And then we're going to stuff them on a clean piece of foil that has been treated with cooking spray. So get your shrooms there. See, they're hot. They came out of the oven. Now you'll see there's still some water inside those mushrooms. Just like that's okay. That's fine. We're going to use a disher and we're going to stuff our mushrooms. So scoop it in, then kind of use your thumb to push it down, smooth it down, make it pretty. Kind of reminds me of a buckeye. So again, scoop. Get it in there, use your thumb, use your hands. Don't be afraid to get dirty, people. It's good. Just wash them. Wash your hands first, though. That's important. And we're going to stuff all of our mushrooms just like this until they are all stuffed. And very little of this stuffing was left over. If you do it right, feel free to stuff your mushrooms as high as you want, man. I guess the higher the stuffing, the closer to God, right? So we got them all stuffed. Now we're going to put a quarter of a slice of provolone on top. That's going to give it a nice appearance on top. It's beautiful. If you don't want to put provolone, you can just sprinkle a little extra breadcrumb on top, a little pecorino, that's fine. I just like the provolone on the top because it makes me happy. It makes me smile, makes me feel good, and it's delicious. And it browns up and bubbly. It's great. It's perfect. It's perfect. So there we go. We're going to bake them in a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes, and here you go. That's what you're left with. That looks beautiful. And as beautiful as that is, it is even more so delicious. And I'm going to stuff it in my face now. You can't tell me that you don't want that inside you. I want it inside me. And it's cooled down enough now where I could just pick it up I kind of squished it. Oh wow. Try and get a half-ass cross-section. There we go. You should use a knife and fork if you're classy, or just stuff it in your face like I do if you're a savage. It's so good. So there you go. Stuffed mushrooms. Absolutely delicious. Totally worth the effort. You should make this for a party. Make this for your friends. The Super Bowl's coming up next week. You should make it for that. Why not? It's delicious and everybody will love it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, if you made these, if you have any suggestions of variations of stuffed mushrooms, drop that down in the comments. If you have a suggestion of something you want to see me make, I take requests. Drop that down in the comments. You want to tell me I suck? Even better. Drop that down in the comments. Please make sure you hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Very, very important. Again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.